Hello and welcome to Mastermind with me, John Humphrys. In the spotlight tonight are Peter Timms, an ecologist whose specialist subject is mammals of the British Isles. Veena Sejal, a law student who'll be answering questions on Friends. Connie Viney, a marketing executive, her subject, Damien Hirst. And Rishi Baudeloy, a head of business development, whose specialist subject is the Wimbledon Men's Singles Championship from 1968 to the present. This, as you may know, is the programme that tests its contenders on three levels: what they think they know, what they ought to know, and what they do know when it comes to the crunch. The rules stay the same: 2 minutes of questions on their specialist subjects, 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. And the winner goes through to the next round and will be on course to become the next Mastermind Champion. So, let's have our first contender, please. And your name is?
Peter Timms.
Your occupation?
Ecologist.
And your chosen subject?
Mammals of the British Isles.
2 minutes. Starting now. The small nocturnal mammal with the scientific name Erinaceus europaeus was once very common throughout Britain, but has had a severe decline in population in recent years. What's its common name?
A hedgehog.
Yep. Which deer species, introduced to Britain for hunting in the 11th century, is unique in the British Isles for having palmate or flattened antlers?
Fallow deer.
Yep. The relatively uncommon species Epidamus flavicollis has a distinctive band of fur around its throat and is found mainly in southern England. What is its common name?
Yellow-necked mouse.
Yeah. The common vole is abundant across mainland Europe, but is entirely absent from the British Isles, save for one subspecies found in Guernsey and another that's found only on and is named after a Scottish island group. Which island group?
Orkney.
Yeah. The mammal with the scientific name Mustela nivalis is Britain's smallest carnivore. What's its common name?
Weasel.
Yeah. Which cetacean, second in size only to the blue whale and sometimes called the greyhound of the sea for its speed and streamlined shape, is the largest species of whale regularly present in British waters?
Fin whale.
Yeah. Which mammal, the only one in its family to be found in the British Isles, has an enlarged and elongated radiosesamoid bone on its forelimbs, which gives it the appearance of having a sixth finger or toe? It's an adaptation that helps it in digging.
Mole.
Yep. A population of beavers that appeared through unknown means on a river in Devon in 2008 were monitored in a 5-year project that reported in 2020. The beavers are now allowed to stay on the river that shares its name with a different aquatic animal. What's it called?
River otter.
Yep. The acronym WAB refers to 3 very similar native bat species of the genus Myotis. The W stands for whiskered, the B stands for Brandt's, and the letter A represents another species first identified in 2001. What's the name of that species?
Alcathoe.
Yeah. A species of dolphin of the genus Grampus found in British waters is named after a French naturalist. What was his name?
Risso.
Yep. The mountain hare can be distinguished from its cousin, the brown hare, throughout the year by its smaller size and shorter ears, and also by the uniformly white colour of a particular part of its body. What part?
The fur.
The tail. What word follows lesser white-toothed, started so I'll finish, in the name of an insectivore of the genus Crocodura? It's not found in mainland Britain, but its range includes the Isles of Scilly and various of the Channel Islands.
Shrew.
The shrew is correct. No passes, Peter. You have 11 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Veena Sejal.
Your occupation?
Law student.
And your chosen subject?
Friends.
Friends, the American sitcom which ran so successfully for 10 years. In the first episode of Friends, Rachel runs away from her own wedding after she realises she was more excited by one of the wedding presents than by her fiancé, Barry. What was the present?
A gravy boat.
Yeah, the show and members of the cast received 10 Golden Globe nominations overall, but only one cast member ever won in 2003. Who was this?
Jennifer Aniston.
Yep, in the one with the stain, Chandler employs a cleaner to help around the house, but Monica suspects her of stealing clothes and goes to ridiculous lengths to try to prove it. What's the cleaner's name?
Brenda.
Yep. In the one with the sonogram at the end, Ross attends a baby scan with his estranged wife, Carol, and her partner, Susan. Although Carol is subsequently played by Jane Sibbett, she's played in this episode by which other actress?
A pass.
Joey gets a job in a department store where he offers customers samples of a cologne called Bijan for men. He gets into a rivalry with a fellow worker dressed as a cowboy who promotes a different brand of cologne. What's the name of the other brand?
Hombre?
Yep. What's the name of the costume designer who worked on all 10 seasons of Friends? She gave each character their own palette, including blues and greens for Rachel and patterns for Phoebe.
Pass.
Phoebe loses her regular singing gig at the Cafe Central Perk and is replaced by a professional musician named Stephanie. Which American rock musician plays Stephanie?
Chrissy Hind.
Yep. In the one where Rachel's sister babysits, Joey uses a thesaurus to write a letter of recommendation to the adoption agency for Monica and Chandler. And the letter makes no sense as a result. He signs the letter with what name instead of Joey?
Baby kangaroo.
Yes. In the pilot episode, Chandler and Joey help Ross assemble furniture in his new apartment. On the wall of the apartment is a poster for a children's animated television show. What's the title of the show?
Danger Mouse.
Speed Racer. At her grandmother's funeral, in the one with Joey's bag, Phoebe hands out an unusual item to each of the guests. She informs one of them that Reverend Pong will tell you when to put them on. What's the item?
3D glasses.
Yeah. Rachel and Ross's baby says her first word over the phone to Rachel. Ross claims it isn't a real word until Rachel looks it up in the dictionary, where it's defined as the fleshy, spore-bearing inner mass of a certain fungi. What's the word?
Gleba.
It is indeed. 2 passes for you, Mina. Deborah Maguire was the costume designer, and Anita Barone is the actress who played Carol. You have scored 8 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Connie Viney,
Your occupation?
marketing executive.
And your chosen subject?
Damien Hirst.
Damien Hirst, that controversial figure who first rose to prominence as a leading member of the YBA, the Young British Artists. Here we go. Damien Hirst did a foundation course in Leeds and went on to study at a London Art College where he graduated in 1989. Which one?
Goldsmiths.
Yep. In 1988, Hirst and several fellow Goldsmiths students organised an exhibition of their work in a disused building. The artist, Michael Craig Martin, later said that it felt fresh and exciting, announcing the arrival of a new and very different generation of artists. What was the title of the exhibition?
Freeze.
Yep. What name does Hirst give to his collection of contemporary and modern art that he began when he was a young man? He has said that everything in it is a reflection on life.
Murder Me.
Yep. Over the course of his career, Hirst has produced numerous spot paintings, and more than 300 were shown during a single international exhibition that took place across one gallery's 11 locations at the same time in 2012. Which gallery?
Gagosian.
Yep. Hirst's skull sculpture for the love of God is made from platinum, real human teeth, and 8,601 diamonds. The setting of the diamonds into the platinum was done by a London jewellery firm. What firm?
Bentley and Skinner.
Yep, medicine cabinets are a recurring theme in Hirst's work. The first 4 from the Sex Pistols series, which were exhibited at his Goldsmiths degree show in 1989, were bought from the show for £500 each by which gallerist?
Carson Schubert.
Yep. One of Hirst's early solo exhibitions was in 1991. The works were based on the life cycle of the butterfly, a theme that would feature in many of his later works. What was the title of the exhibition?
In and Out of Love.
Yep. Hirst directed a music video for a song that reached #1 in the UK singles chart in '95. What's the title of it?
Country House.
Yep. Hirst often employs other artists to produce his work and has said the best of his spot paintings are created by an artist who had her own exhibition in 2018 entitled Repetition is Truth, Via Dolorosa. What's her name?
Rachel Howard.
Yep, several works by Hirst were in the collection of George Michael when he died in 2016. At an auction in 2019, one work, A Dove in Formaldehyde, fetched more than £900,000. What's the title of that?
The Incomplete Truth.
Yep, in 2008, Hirst bypassed the galleries and auctioned the works of a complete show at Sotheby's. The show was entitled Beautiful Inside My Head Forever and raised more than £100 million. What's the title of the work that fetched the highest price?
The Golden Calf.
Indeed. You had no passes, Connie. You've scored 11 points. And our final contender, please. And your name is?
Rishi Bordeloy,
Your occupation?
Head of Business Development.
And your chosen subject?
Wimbledon Men's Single Championships from 1968 to the present era.
In 2 minutes, starting now, in 2017, who became the first male player since Bjorn Borg in 1976 to win the men's singles tournament without dropping a set?
Federer.
Yep. In the late 1990s, the spectator picnic terraces in Orangi Park became known by a nickname because of the popularity of a British player who contested 4 semi-finals in the men's singles tournament. What nickname?
Henman Hill.
Yep, the 2019 final between Novak Djokovic and Roger Federer was the first one to be decided by a fifth-set tiebreak. Djokovic won the final set 13-12 after he won the tiebreak by what score?
8-6.
7-3. After the 1995 final, the losing player said the centre court used to be my backyard. Now it belongs to Pete, a reference to Pete Sampras, who just won the title for the third consecutive year. Who was the losing finalist?
Becca.
Yeah. When the Liverpudlian Barry Cowan unexpectedly took Pete Sampras to 5 sets in 2001, he said that he motivated himself during the breaks by listening to a particular song. What song?
Simply the best.
You'll Never Walk Alone. On his way to winning the 1975 title, Arthur Ashe beat a British player in 4 sets in the round of 16. What was his name?
Roger Taylor.
Graham Stillwell. The Open era began in 1968. Which player was seeded #1 in that year's men's singles tournament?
Rod Laver.
Yep. During the remarkable 11-hour match between John Isner and Nicholas Mahut in 2010, the courtside scoreboard froze because it couldn't cope with the large number of games. At the time that it froze, each player had won how many games?
68.
47. The 1973 tournament was won by the Czech player Jan Kodis, but around 80 members of the ATP, including most of the top seeds, had boycotted that year's event in protest at the suspension of a Yugoslavian player by his country's national association. What's his name?
Nicky Pilic.
Yes, Jimmy Connors was 21 when he beat the Australian veteran Ken Rosewall in straight sets in the 1974 final. How old was Rosewall at the time?
40.
39. What's the name of the umpire who was on the receiving end of John McEnroe's notoriously ill-tempered "you cannot be serious" tirade during a first-round match against Tom Gullickson in 1981?
John Smith.
Edward James. No passes, Rishi. You have 5 points. Well, some very high scores there. Let's have a look at all of them. In 4th place with 5 points, Rishi. 3rd place with 8 points, Veena. Joint 1st place with 11 points apiece, Peter and Connie. So now it is the general knowledge round, and if there's a tie at the end of it, then the number of passes is taken into account, and the person with the fewer passes is the winner. And if they're tied on passes as well, then there has to be a tie break. So let's ask Rishi to join us again, please. And Rishi, you start out with 5 points. 2.5 minutes of general knowledge questions. Let's see how you do. Here we go. Freestyle backstroke and breaststrokes are 3 of the 4 strokes in competitive swimming. What's the 4th?
Butterfly.
Yeah. Which comedy duo had their own BBC television series from 1971 to 87? Often ended the show with one of them saying, "It's good night from me," and the other one added, "and it's good night from him."
Morecambe and Wise.
The two Ronnies. The Ashmolean Museum, founded in 1683, houses the art and archaeology collection of a university in southern England. Which university?
Oxford.
Yep. Which American model, credited as being one of the first supermodels, was married to the actor Richard Gere from 1991 to 95?
Cindy Crawford.
Yes. The Kiel Canal in northern Germany connects the North Sea with which other sea?
Bering.
Baltic. A type of sponge cake baked over a layer of pineapple or other fruit in syrup gets its name from the fact that it's inverted for serving. What name?
Victoria.
Upside-down cake. The 2020 book entitled Unspeakable is an autobiography of a former Speaker of the House of Commons who stood down from the role the previous year. What's his name?
John Burker.
Yep. What small bird common in Britain has the scientific name Parso domesticus? The male has a distinctive black mark on the throat.
Sparrow.
Yeah, house sparrow. Which Canadian musician's criticism of racism in the American Deep South inspired the song Sweet Home Alabama by Lynyrd Skynyrd? He is named in the lyrics of the song.
Neil Young.
Yeah. Which sister ship of the Lusitania was launched in 1906 for the Cunard Line? It was the world's largest ocean liner till the completion of the RMS Olympic in 1911.
Titanic.
The Mauritania. The fatty substance that can be rendered from the suet of sheep and cattle was once widely used to make soap and candles. What's the name for it?
Wax.
Tallow. The 1969 film On Her Majesty's Secret Service is the only one in the James Bond series to have starred a particular actor as Bond. Which actor?
Lazenby.
Yes. The river Neva in northwestern Russia empties into the Gulf of Finland. Which major city stands at its mouth?
Helsinki.
St. Petersburg. Which 19th century French composers remembered mainly for operatic words such as Faust and Mireille, as well as a popular setting of the Ave Maria based on a prelude by J.S. Bach?
Pass.
The medical condition glaucoma is usually associated with a build-up of fluid pressure within which organs of the human body?
The lungs.
The Eyes. Which publishing house, founded in 1973 by Carmen Khalil to promote female authors, has Margaret Atwood, Sarah Waters and Maya Angelou among its many writers? Its name comes from a Latin term for a female warrior or heroic woman.
Amazon.
Virago Press. You had one pass. Gounod was that 19th century French composer, Faust and Marais and so on. You have now, Rishi, a total of 12 points. And next up, Veena, please. And Veena, you start out with 8 points. The score to beat as we speak is 12. Here we go. A specially equipped vehicle used to transport sick or injured people to and from hospital has a name derived from a Latin word that means to walk. What name?
Ambulance.
Yep. Irish coffee is a drink made from hot coffee, whipped cream, and which alcoholic spirit?
Whiskey.
Yep. The cave of Altamira, famed for its prehistoric wall paintings of bison, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site in which European country?
Germany.
Spain. The journalist Arthur Wynne is credited with devising a type of grid-based puzzle that was first published in the New York World newspaper in 1913. What type of puzzle?
Crossword.
Yep. Konnichiwa is a common greeting in which language?
Japanese.
Yep. Which actress starred alongside Gina Davis as one of the title characters in the 1991 film Thelma and Louise? She later won a Best Actress Oscar for her performance in the 95 film Dead Man Walking.
Susan Sarandon.
Yep. What name for a type of subatomic particle is a blend of the words positive and electron?
Positron.
Yep. In 1770, the British textile worker James Hargreaves was granted a patent for a machine that could produce several threads at once. What was it called?
Sewing machine.
Spinning Jenny. Which pioneer of soul music won 8 posthumous Grammy Awards in 2005 for his duets album Genius Loves Company?
Stevie Wonder.
Ray Charles. What species of python, one of the longest snakes in the world, which can grow to more than 25 feet long, gets its name from the net-like pattern on its skin?
Net python.
The reticulated python. The football clubs Heart of Midlothian and Hibernian are both based in which Scottish city?
Glasgow.
Edinburgh. An adjective used to describe someone who is cunning and unscrupulous is derived from the name of a Florentine political theorist born in the 15th century. What's the adjective?
Pass.
Which broadcaster and political interviewer had the nickname the Grand Inquisitor? It formed the title of his second book of memoirs, published in 1989.
Pass.
Which large lake straddles the border between Peru and Bolivia at an elevation of around 12,500 feet? It consists of 2 bodies of water joined by a narrow strait.
Pass.
Which author's volume of verse entitled Wessex Poems was published in 1898?
Oscar Wilde.
Thomas Hardy. The axilla is the medical name for what part of the human body?
Throat.
The armpit. The last British monarch to have been born outside Great Britain was born in Hanover in 1683. Which monarch?
Pass.
The first 2 Super Bowls in 1967 and 68 were won by an American football team based in a city in Wisconsin on an inlet of Lake Michigan. Which city?
No idea.
I can tell you because your time is up. Green Bay. Your other passes. George II was the last British monarch to have been born outside this country. Lake Titicaca is that huge lake between Peru and Bolivia. The political interviewer known as the Grand Inquisitor was Robin Day. And Machiavellian was the adjective, as you now know. I know, it's much easier when you're not sitting in that chair. However, you have now scored a total of 14 points.
Thank you.
And now, Peter, again, please. And, Peter, you start out with 11 points. Score to beat is 14. Here we go. The flag of Wales features what mythical creature?
Dragon.
Yep. A famous artwork painted by Peter Paul Rubens around 1610 depicts a biblical character asleep while someone cuts off his hair. Which character?
Samson.
Yep. Which French house music duo had a hit single in 2013 with Get Lucky? They wrote the song in collaboration with Pharrell Williams and Nile Rodgers.
Daft Punk.
Yep. Which former US First Lady, later presidential candidate herself, was appointed as the new Chancellor of Queen's University Belfast in January 2020?
Hillary Clinton.
Yep. What large inland body of water has a shoreline on 5 countries, including Russia, Kazakhstan and Iran?
Black Sea.
Caspian Sea. What do the letters CGI stand for in the context of filmmaking?
Computer-generated image.
Yep. Which British singer married the American photographer Linda Eastman in March 1969 at Marylebone Register Office?
Pass.
A two-part play about the legacy of the AIDS crisis written by Matthew Lopez and inspired by E.M. Forster's novel Howard's End won the 2019 Olivier Award for Best New Play. What's its title?
Pass.
Which Indian cricketer was the first player to score 100 centuries in international play? He was also the first batsman to score 15,000 runs in Test matches.
Tendulkar.
Yes. Which shoe designer was born in the Canary Islands in 1942 to a Spanish mother and a Czech father? His designs were popularised by the television series Absolutely Fabulous and Sex and the City.
Christian Louboutin.
Manolo Blahnik. The dish called bath chaps is made from the cheeks of an animal which are pickled and then boiled. What animal?
Pig.
Yep. In 2005, a British national newspaper changed to a Berliner format, which is slightly taller than a tabloid, but shorter and narrower than a broadsheet. Which paper?
Guardian.
Yep. Which clergyman served as Archbishop of Canterbury from 2002 until 2012? He'd previously been Archbishop of Wales.
Pass.
Sirius, also known as the Dog Star, is a binary star that is the brightest visible from Earth in the night sky. It's part of which constellation?
Orion.
Canis Major. Which American world heavyweight boxing champion, nicknamed the Brockton Blockbuster, retired undefeated in 1956 with 43 knockouts in 49 wins?
Jack Dempsey.
Rocky Marciano. Which city on the River Garonne in southern France is a centre of the country's aerospace industry and is where the prototype of Concorde was built?
Lyon.
Toulouse. What's the title of the 93 stop-motion film about a pumpkin king who abducts Santa Claus? It's based on a story by Tim Burton.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes. Which British designer, who was knighted in 1983, founded the Habitat chain of homeware stores as well as the Design Museum in London?
Alexander McQueen.
Terence Conran. You have 3 passes. Rowan Williams was the Archbishop of Canterbury, being the Archbishop of Wales before that. The Inheritance was that play about the legacy of the AIDS crisis. And Paul McCartney married Linda Eastman. However, Peter, you now have 20 points. And finally, Collie again, please. And you also start out with a very sizable 11 points, Connie. 20 is now, as you have heard, the score to beat if you are to get through to the semi-finals. So here we go in 2.5 minutes. What sport is said to have been invented in 1823 when a public school boy named William Webb Ellis picked up the ball and ran with it during a game of football?
Rugby.
Yep. Which major canal completed in 1869 features the Great Bitter Lake along its course?
Thames.
Suez. Which Tudor statesman resigned as Lord Chancellor in 1532? He refused to acknowledge the divorce of Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon and was executed 3 years later.
Thomas Cromwell.
Thomas More. Which cartoon character created by William Hanna and Joseph Barbera first appeared in 1958 and often claimed to be smarter than the average bear?
Paddington Bear.
Yogi Bear. In the human digestive system, food passes into the small intestine through an opening called the pylorus at the base of which organ?
The pancreas.
The stomach. Which American singer had her first UK #1 single in 1985 with Saving All My Love for You?
Diana Ross.
Whitney Houston. The speech that begins, "Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears," is from a play by Shakespeare. Which one?
The Tempest.
Julius Caesar. In February 2020, Jackson Carlaw was elected as the leader of the Scottish branch of a UK political party. Which one?
The Respect Party.
A Conservative party. Which French scientist shared the 1903 Nobel Prize in Physics with the Curies for his discovery of radioactivity? The international standard unit of radioactivity is named after him.
Mendel.
Becquerel. Which actor plays the title role in the 1975 film Brannigan about an American police officer sent to London to track down a fugitive Chicago crime boss? It was one of his last film roles.
Steve Martin.
John Wayne. Which metallic element did the Romans call ice cyprium, or metal of Cyprus, because most of their supply of it came from there?
Cesium.
Copper. VE Day is commemorated on May the 8th to mark the German surrender in the Second World War. What do the letters VE stand for?
Victory in Europe.
Yep. The Mozambique Channel separates the African mainland from which large island?
UK.
Madagascar. Which word is used for a division of the geological timescale which is longer than an age but shorter than a period or an era? Examples include the Holocene and the Pleistocene.
Pass.
I Don't Want a Lover and Black Eyed Boy were UK hit singles for a Scottish band named after an American state. What band?
Texas.
Yep. In horse racing, a handicap race for 2-year-olds is known by what name?
Pony Trek.
Nursery. You had one pass. That word used for a division of the geological timescale is epoch. Connie, you have now scored a total of 14 points. So, we have a clear winner. Let's have a look at the scores. In fourth place with 12 points, Rishi. Joint second place, 14 points apiece, Vina and Connie. First place with 20 points, Peter. Which means, of course, that he goes through to the semi-finals. Congratulations to him. And if you would like to be a contender in the next series, do go to our website, bbc.co.uk/mastermind. And you can follow us at Mastermind Quiz. And do join us again next time for more Masterminds. And thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Subject was mammals of the British Isles, and I chose it. I've always loved British wildlife since I was a kid, and particularly mammals just come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, and I just find them really cool. Connie did really well on her specialist subject. We were neck and neck going into the general knowledge. I went first on that round, and I thought I did okay. But when I sat down and her turn to go up, I thought she was going to do really well as well. So, yeah, I'm chuffed that I've managed to come out with a win against such a strong contender.
Peter, you and I have 20 points.
I scored 20 and just absolutely chuffed to bits. Really was not expecting that. I'm feeling good for the semi-final. Can't wait to come back again. I used to do pub quizzes every now and then when I could, but since having a son who's now 2, I don't really get much chance these days. So I'm glad I've been able to not embarrass him, and hopefully I can show him one day in the future it's Dad on Mastermind.